Good morning, everybody. It's Karen Hooley, and welcome to January's interview series. I'm so excited to bring our guest on today. But before we get started, I want to say good morning to everybody. I see you guys starting to pop in chat. Kelly's here. Good morning. You were here way early, but wanted to learn about a new dyer. I'm so excited to bring her on. So I'm glad you're here. And Stephanie's here from Texas. Good morning. And oh gosh, now I've lost Carrie from Idaho. Good morning. It's been too long since I've done one of these live streams, guys. So I apologize. Things are going to change a little bit from what you're used to. First of all, I just want to let you guys know I did downgrade my software that I use to live stream. So you can see this side that there's the powered by StreamYard there. That's not my logo. That's because I downgraded. Also, I cannot do. We're going to do a giveaway, but instead of having the auto generated winner, what I'm going to do is at the end of the live stream when we do the drawing, I'm going to count how many of you put in the code that we're going to use for the live stream, and our guest is going to pick a number between 1 and however that number is. So I'm so glad you guys are all here. So if there's something I forget, you guys remind me. Beach Girl, hello from New York City. I'm glad you're here. Okay, so I'm not going to delay any further. Oh, except for one thing I want to mention too. If you type in the code, and when we'll get to that a little bit later, you have to put that in as the only thing in that comment. So when I give you the code, that has to be the only thing in the comment. If it's not the only thing in the comment, I will not register it. And then also, if you have questions, I'm really going to be enforcing that you have to have the queue there first before you ask the question, because I need to be able to see visually. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Alyssa from Yarn for the Masses on. I'm going to put her on right now. There she is. I'm going to bring us both closer. Hello, Alyssa. Good morning.
Hello, Karen. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so glad you're here.
I'm so glad to be here.
I'm glad. Okay, so we're going to get started with, tell us a little bit about your family, who you are, what your career was maybe before this, all of that. So where you were from, all that.
Yeah. I'm Alyssa. I'm here in the Denver area in Colorado. I'm just southeast Denver. And I've got an 8-year-old son. He just turned 8 on Sunday. And so he's a big kid, which is super fun. And my husband, and we've got 2 cats. And that's just kind of us. They put up with having my yarn all over the house. And we're reorganizing my basement. So we're starting to make that more of my yarn space. But trying to think. I used to teach music. I'm a percussionist by trade, but I started as a music educator. You get to learn everything, and you're certified to teach everything. And so my first year of teaching, I was actually band and orchestra, and I fell in love with the orchestra side. And so I taught high school orchestra and middle school orchestra, most recently high school orchestra, and then decided I wanted to kind of focus my time on yarn and having fun with my yarn business, because it was something I did from like 9 p.m. to midnight after teaching. And I wanted to kind of make that something that I got to do during daylight hours. So I left my teaching job, and now I'm doing Yarn for the Masses every day. And but I do get to volunteer with my son at his school once a week, which is really fun. And I still keep my fingers in the music area, and I work with a high school once a week, and I have a friend who's a choir director, and I play for her concerts occasionally. And so I still get to do the fun teaching side while also getting to focus on family and yarn, which is awesome.
And that's what's really cool about starting your own business is that you can focus your time where you want it, right? You can pick and choose how much you're going to do in your yarn business, how much you're going to do with other things. So that's awesome. Okay, so tell us, are you a knitter first or a crocheter first? Or do you do both?
I do both. I first learned to crochet when I was about 8 or so. I think I was 8. From my aunt. I was on I was on a bike ride with my brother. He did Ragbri, which is a bike ride across Iowa. And we were his sag wagon, and I was bored out of my mind. We were waiting for him to come in one day, and my aunt taught me how to crochet under a tree in Iowa.
Oh, wow.
And so I remember that. I like have a vivid memory of like sitting in with my lilies and cream, making a dishcloth, you know. And then I learned to knit from my dad's second cousin or something. I'm not sure. His family's kind of mixed up. So we would visit people, and I could never remember exactly how we're connected, but she taught me how to knit. And then I knit the whole way home. So we had 1,200 miles of road trip home. So I got to work on my knit and purl stitches on the road. And I didn't really pick it back up until I got into college. I kind of did it a little bit, but then I got to college, and music used to be my stress reliever, and it became my stressor as a music major. And so I needed some outlet, and so I started crocheting more in college, and then picked knitting back up probably about five or 6 years ago.
Do you have a preference of what you like to do? I mean, do you feel like you drawn more to crochet, more to knit, or is it kind of a 50-50?
Definitely more crochet. I'm just faster at it, and if I mess up, I feel like it's a whole lot easier to fix. Drop stitches, I'm still working on how to get those back exactly where they need to be and not twisted and the right way. So all my knit projects are pretty basic right now, but I still enjoy it. There are times where it's nice to just do a nice stockinette in a circle.
I totally get that, because I learned to crochet at 7, and I learned to knit at 37. So there was a 30-year gap in there. And even now, I mean, crochet will always be my passion, and knitting's more of, this is what I do when I need to get away from crochet for a little bit, or and then there's, my grandmother always used to say, and I don't know if you find this true, but my grandmother always used to say that there are things that crochet does well, and then there are things that knit does well, and you should use the craft that does those things well. So that's kind of what my thing is. So, okay. So before we go on any further, let's talk about the giveaway. So I'm going to have you tell everybody what the giveaway is, and then I will put the code up for everybody.
Okay. So the giveaway will be a coupon code to my online store. It'll be $34, which is 2 skeins of either DK or worsted weight yarn. And for some reason, my shop doesn't allow me to do shipping. So you'll pay for shipping, but then I will refund you the shipping. If you're international, I'll refund half of the shipping. Just sometimes those shipping charges get pretty pricey, but I will refund half of that for you. But it'll be a coupon code. You get to pick 2 skeins of whatever colorway you like. I just uploaded a bunch last night, and I have a list of some more today that I want to get up there. So if you want to wait to see the color that you fall in love with, you can do that. It won't expire until you use it. So
okay. So we're going to start with, I mentioned this at the very beginning, but I'm going to say it again because I just saw a bunch of people pop in. Because I downgraded my live streaming software, I cannot do the auto generate winner anymore. So we still are going to use a hashtag. And when you enter in the hashtag, I'll put it up on the screen here in just a second. That is the only thing that needs to be in your comment. I need it to be the only thing. So you can't add any other words to it. So just the hashtag and the word, and do that. And then at the end, when we do the drawing, I am going to count how many of those we have. And Alyssa's going to pick a number between 1 and whatever number we have, and that will be our winner. Okay, so here is our code word. Hashtag rom-com. So I'm going to have Alyssa tell us why it's a rom-com.
So we're coming up on February, and last year I started a rom-com collection based on tropes that you see in rom-com books. I was reading a ton of rom-coms on my Kindle, and so there's all these different tropes that you see in rom-coms, and so I started making colorways based on that, like this one. This is enemies to lovers. So yeah, you've got that one too.
I have it too.
So, and this is actually a project I did knit. It's a crochet, but that's kind of how it works up. So the reason we're doing rom-com is we're coming up on February, and I do have that fun rom-com collection.
Okay, so I'm gonna leave it up for a couple more seconds, and then I'm gonna take it down. But while you guys are typing in your code, let's talk about why and how you started dyeing.
Okay. So I'm a crocheter, and that just uses a ton of yarn. And I was also, when I was first really crocheting, I was a college student and then a young married person as a teacher. And so I always looked at these beautiful hand-dyed yarns and realized if I wanted a sweater or something, it was going to be a pretty big investment. And I like being thrifty. So I use acrylic. And so I was like, there's got to be a way to hand dye acrylic so you still get that beautiful hand-dyed look without so much the cost. And I realized my acrylic is still more expensive than what you would get at a local box store. But you do get the hand-dyed look. And so I started experimenting. I just had something pop up in my Facebook feed of some of my first tries, and that yarn was so crunchy and awful. It was so bad. And I have it in a box in my closet so I can remember where I came from. But it was so bad. It was just really awful. And so I kind of took a break. And so I kind of experimented on and off for, 3 or 4 years. And then I finally was like, there's got to be a way. And so I just did some more research. It's been a lot of experimenting. I do have, even from when it first started being kind of successful, I have stuff burned yarn. I've got yarn that hardened and like just all this terrible yarn. But then I finally figured it out. And once I got it, it clicked. And so I've been just having fun with that. But I wanted to make something beautiful that was a little more cost effective. I love my husband a ton, but he had a merino wool sweater that he was helping with laundry and felted it. So I love him so much, but sometimes, you can't always trust the people you knit or crochet for to wash it correctly. And I realized that there was, especially as I had my son, wanting to be able as a tired mom to just throw it in the laundry and not have to worry about it. And as he grew up and started playing in the sand and the dirt and, as he was wearing things, I wanted to just be able to have it be easy care. And so acrylic is that for me. And so I was like, I know I'm not the only mom going, oh man, I love this blanket I just got, but now I have to really, really take care of it. Right. And so that's kind of why I started the acrylic route.
There are only certain people that are knit and crochet worthy in wools,
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And you have to really know who those people are. Because it's funny that you mentioned it was your husband, because when my husband and I first got married, he washed a wool skirt of mine and shrunk it. I mean, it was like American Girl doll size. So I totally, wow. Okay. Yeah. I think it's a husband thing to do too.
Yeah. Well, he was trying to be helpful, right? And you're like, thank you, but please don't touch anything handmade. Yeah.
Yeah. So is there a reason besides that? I mean, are you allergic to wools, or
nope.
You just like?
I just like acrylic. Yeah.
Because you are very unique out in the world like that. So tell us a little bit about how you learned to dye acrylic yarns. I mean, because I hear from and I'm losing my voice, sorry. I hear from a lot of dyers that acrylic can be very hard to dye. Is that, you find that that's true?
Yeah, I have a whole box of yarn that's been burnt or hardened, and colors, didn't take. And so, it was a lot of experimenting and trial and error and just being okay with stuff not turning out exactly how I wanted it to. But I actually started dyeing. I went to a class after I watched some YouTube videos, like, okay, I'm going to try to figure this out. And that kind of works. But then I went to a wool dyeing class for my birthday 6 years back or something, and was like, okay. And that's when it really stirred. I was like, I need to figure this out. Like, there's got to be a way to do this. And so I went to that wool dyeing and just was like, I'm going to figure out how to dye wool and then see what I can take from wool dyeing and transfer it. And there are some things that are similar, but it just takes a lot of patience. Everything is a lot slower. Like, the dyes don't take like it does with wool. Wool, you can drop speckles, dry dye and you get instant speckles. I cannot get speckles. Okay. I'm still working on it. I'm like, there's got to be a way. But as of yet, 5 years later, I still haven't gotten speckles to work. So, so yeah, it's just a lot of patience. A lot of patience.
Do you use like the acid dyes still, or is it a different type of dye? Or is
it's a different type of dye, yeah, that I have to use. So
okay, I was curious. And do you know? I mean, this has always been my question because a lot of people ask me this, and I have no idea. Can you use natural dyes on acrylic? Do you know? Have you tried?
I've never actually tried that. Part of me is, I know myself, if I were to try that, I would go down a huge rabbit hole, and then I'd be like, that would take up 6 months of my life. And then part of my garden, I'm sure I'd be like, oh, I can grow all of this. And so I just know myself. If I went down that direction, it would just take up a ton of my life. So I haven't actually gone that route.
Wow. Okay. So to give us, if you're willing to, can you give us an example of like start to finish how long it takes to dye a colorway for you? That would be.
Yeah, well, because it's interesting because there's like some active part and then there's a lot of waiting. And so the active part of my dyeing is, well, first so right now I can't buy any of my acrylic in hanks. So it has to be hanked for me. And so my mom is amazing and wonderful, and she hanks off my yarn for me. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, she's awesome. And I'll call her up and be like, hey mom, I've got a yarn show. And she's like, send me the yarn. So it just gets sent directly to her now, and she hanks it for me, and then we meet up. So she does that. The active part of dyeing is probably 10 to 15 minutes. Mixing the dyes, making sure I get it in the right spot, making sure all the temperatures are good. And then it's just a lot of waiting. So the cooking process, depending on the colorway, is anywhere from like 30 minutes to an hour. And then I have to wait and wait and wait for it to cool down. So if I cool it too fast, it gets crunchy. It is plastic, right? And so if you cool it too fast, it crunches and it's gross and it feels terrible, which is another thing. Like, I try to make sure and then I go through another process in my washing that I condition the yarn so it's actually soft. The base I start with is already soft, but then I do a process as I wash it to make it even softer. Because I know there's a lot of people out there that we still have that like 1970s brand new acrylic in our head, like it's hard. You have grandma's Afghan that was always scratchy stuck in your head. And so my goal is to make sure that my yarn is nice and soft and doesn't matter.
I can attest to that. One of the things because I met Alyssa, just so you guys know, I met Alyssa in person at the Dallas Fort Worth Fiber Fest in September, right? Yeah. And I bought 3 hanks of her yarn. I'm gonna right here. I'll talk about those later. But one of the things I said to her, the first thing I think I said to you was that, oh my gosh, how soft, and this is acrylic. I cannot even believe it. So it's amazing how soft it is. So for those of you who grew up in the 70s like I did and learned to crochet in the 70s like I did, this is not the Red Hearts and the Karen yarns of 1970s. So definitely check out her yarns. Okay, so that is a really great segue. Why don't you do some show and tell? Show us your colorway, show us what you've got going on and patterns. I'm going to put you on screen by yourself so that everybody can see that. And guys, just as a reminder, if you have a question for Alyssa or for me, make sure you type the letter Q before you type the question so that I don't miss it. Okay. Okay. I'm going to put Alyssa on screen, and there you go.
Awesome. So I'm going to show off some of my colorways. I tend to be a bright person. I love, like, I'll wear neutrals like this with bright scarves and things like that. So initially, a lot of my colorways were really bright and fun. And I've had to kind of shift as I realized there are some people who like neutrals. And I have some baby items. So I'm going to kind of show you a few of those. My two most recent colorways that are actually, if you go to my Instagram, I posted pictures of these, but this is part of my rom-com collection. This is called Lovey Dovey. So not necessarily a rom-com trope, but Lovey Dovey. And this is the Hearts in a Row hat by Repeat Crafter Me. So then I did another one, and this is Guy Falls First. That wonderful rom-com trope where the guy falls before the girl. And so it's kind of some fun, bright ones. I have this fun neon yellow. And I realized I was looking for the piece that I made with this, and I forgot that I sent it to a yarn shop for a sample. So I don't actually have this worked up. But this is limoncello, and it's this beautiful, like, variegated, I'm trying to get the light on there just right, like neon yellow. And it works up just like beautifully, but I sent it away to a shop for a sample, so I forgot about that. But I do have some neutrals. So one of the pieces that I had at the Dallas-Fort Worth Fiber Fest was this, and it's just this beautiful, this is the sock weight. For those of you watching, if you go to my shop, it'll say that the sock weight is unavailable. I have, my distributor stopped making it with no notice. I'm hoping it comes back. So I'm currently on the search for my sock weight base, but I do have some stashed away. So if you do want some sock weight, you can just leave me a message. It is a little bit more expensive, but you're going to get 670 yards of sock weight. But this is a beautiful button cowl by Tara Loves Crochet. I'm trying to show you some of this cool detail. Like, this was a pattern test I did for her. And this is her wrought iron cowl, but I wish you could feel this because it is so soft, so drapey. It holds stitches really well after you block it. And then this is that same colorway. So that was Lakeshore, and that's it knit up.
Oh, that's really gorgeous.
Yeah, and then I did, here's a nice little granny square. I think I have it behind me somewhere too. Let's see. So this is kind of what it looks like. I didn't twist my hanks, but this is kind of what it looks like. And I do have some tonals that go with that. And so this is Weathered Fence. And so this is a nice tonal that goes along with that. It's a brown, same brown. So if you wanted to have a variegated and a tonal, you can kind of do that. Let's see what else I've got up here. Oh, one thing I like to do too is, so I've got this bright, this is lemon lime, and it's my neon green, but it's got different tonal varieties of that neon green in there. Yeah. But I like to throw that in with a little bit more neutral. So this is Fall Evening. And so I'll often put these like a little more neutral with something bright and fun. And it kind of creates this, you can be fun and serious at the same time.
Yeah, I was going to say, I would never thought to put those two together, but that's gorgeous. I like that.
Thank you. And then with my dyeing process, sometimes I have extra dye in the dye pot because it takes a lot of dye to really get these bright colors. And so I do what I call sequel skeins. So I'll put raw dye or raw yarn in with the leftover dye. And so then I get a secondary And a lot of the times the sequels are just as good as the original. Not always true in movies, but in my yarn, it tends to be true. So this is the original. So this is Fall Evening. And then its sequel, let me get up here. I just called it Fall Day because it's a little bit, but these two work really well together as well. And so that's kind of fun. So I'll occasionally have sequels listed on my website. So if you wanted two tonals that are in the same color, but with different, depth of color, you can do that. So that's kind of fun. Let's see. And then I started, when I was at the Houston Yarn Festival this summer, I had a lot of people talking about just using my yarn for baby projects. I love thinking that my yarn can be used for anybody and for any project. But I was like, I just need to embrace the baby side as well, because it is true. It's great for babies and kids. And so I created a nursery line that's up on my website. And so I just took these pastel colors with white. So I've got, and I don't have all of them, but I've got this nice yellow and white. This is Daffodils in the Snow. This is Faded Flamingo. So it's this nice, pretty,
so pretty,
pink and white. Let's see. I've got this blue and white right here. And this is my DK weight right here. I don't know if you can tell the difference, but it does lay a little different. This is Sisu Blue. I'm Finnish, and so I wanted to do something. I'm 50% Finnish, and so I wanted to do some blue to kind of like the Finnish flag, but Sisu means like perseverance, guts, determination, roughly. So that's what that is. And then, let's see. And then I did it just a little bit darker green because that's kind of been hip nowadays in nurseries. I don't have a kiddo, so I had to go on Pinterest and kind of look at nursery stuff. My husband was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "It's for my business. Don't worry. We're good." But so this is kind of some tonal, some like darker green with some white kind of throughout. And that is Spruce and Snow. And I am working on kind of adding some other colors in there. One of my other favorite things to do with my yarn is to just take a skein and see how much I can make with it. So I took a skein of my Lovey Dovey and I made 4 adult hats out of it. Granted, I do have some scraps in there for the inside little hearts, but I made 4 adult-sized hats out of one skein.
Wow.
Which is always fun to see.
Hanks on all the Hanks.
So my worsted weight is 370 yards. My DK weight is 320 yards, and then my sock weight is 670 yards. So you get quite a bit out of it. This one, there's actually a picture of this on my Instagram if you want to see like just how tall this is. I don't think I'm going to be able to back up far enough, but this is one skein, and this is doubled. This is Subtle Sigh, and this is actually in honor of my uncle who just passed away. He was a huge Iowa State fan, and so I wanted to kind of create a colorway for him, but not have it be maybe quite so bright. And he was kind of a quiet guy. He would kind of sit, so it kind of works. He was kind of subtle in life, and so. But this is a huge. It's taller than I am. It's probably a 7-foot scarf out of one skein of this. This one that I'm wearing. This is one of my first colorways I ever did. This is Wildflowers, and you can see this on. I have this up on my shop as well. This is one skein as well, and I just turned it into an infinity scarf. And this one, I did this a lot in the early days too. I took Melissa Leitman's crochet dictionary or indispensable crochet. I can't remember what it's called. And I would pick a stitch and then just do it over and over and over again until I ran out of yarn. so I have quite a few of these like infinity scarves, but that's one full skein. And actually, I think I had a little left over because I was finally like, this is too big. I was like, this is a lot.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what else I have that I've done. Oh, I did these cute. This is out of DK weight. And I don't have this colorway on my shop, but it will be this afternoon or this evening. I ran it out of time last night. But this is Ocean Depths, and this is less than one skein of DK. And these are, I think, like the 6-month pants. These are the one skein baby pants by Heart, Hook, and Home. And this is less than a skein. And so you can create these really cute baby items with one skein or less of my stuff, which is really nice. So got lots of fun stuff. And I'm going to start doing that in a newsletter. I'm going to try to feature things that you can do with one skein or less of my yarn, so you can see projects and kind of visualize all the things you can make with that. And actually, here's your design. Let's see.
Oh, you guys should recognize this.
This is the crochet along for the DFW Yarn Fest. And so this is, I wish I have tons of this yarn left over because it didn't take a full skein at all. So yeah, you can do quite a bit with one skein, which is fun. So
we have somebody who's already placed an order.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much.
So I'm going to put, there we go. I'm back on. Yay. So that reminds me, I'm going to put up your website here really quick. Let me find the link there. Okay. So you do have a newsletter. I know because I get it. So make sure you guys subscribe to her newsletter too. That would be terrific. And here, I've been putting it on as she's been chatting, but here's her Instagram. She has periods in between the words for Yarn for the Masses. And then Facebook is just Yarn for the Masses. You can just search for that, like you guys know. Can you talk a little bit about what the price points for each base is so that people kind of know if they haven't already gone to your website?
Mm-hmm. So for my worsted and my DK, it's $17 for both of those weights. Like I said, with the worsted, you get 370 yards, and it comes pre-caked. So you're going to get, I had a cake. There we go. You're going to get a cake in the mail, ready to go. Part of that is, as an acrylic user, you go to the store and you get a skein ready to go as soon as you buy it. And then I wanted to make sure, because when I bought my first hank of wool, I had no idea what to do with this circle of yarn. I was like, what do I do with this? And I ended up, putting it on my feet and trying to wind the ball and got it tangled, and it was super frustrating. So you will get it pre-caked, ready to go straight out of the box. It's a center pull skein. So you don't have to worry about getting it caked up or anything. It's good to go for you.
Awesome.
So 370 yards for the worsted, 320 for the DK, and those are both $17. Like I said, my sock weight is currently not listed on the website, but if you, after watching this, like I said, I do have a back stock that I can pull for you. Just write me a note and we'll get that adjusted. But the sock weight is $21 and you get 670 yards. Yeah, and they come hanked like this. No, those will come caked as well. Oh, yeah. Okay. So when I go to yarn shows, I don't cake them. So because I need to, as weird as it sounds, I need to look like the wool dyers.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I need to kind of match what's around me, and so I don't cake things when I go to yarn shows. Okay. But when you buy from my website, you will get everything caked regardless of weight, and awesome. At no charge. That's included in the fee. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, guys. So I just want to show you the colors I bought from her because I think she showed you enemies to lovers. Oops, trying to get it in front of the camera. This is it. I bought all fingering weight from her. So this is the Enemies to Lovers. This is, I gotta, now this was a one of a kind called Geneva Steel. But look at that. Now tell them about this color because you had told me about this before that went live.
So that one is a colorway I wasn't happy with. I was trying to do a Christmas colorway, some reds and greens, and it did not turn out well. It just was gross. And so I actually over dyed it with navy blue and some gray, and it turned out like that. And I actually really, really enjoy how that turned out. So
it was one of the first ones I think I picked up off your shelf because I just loved it. And then the last one I have is Coral Reef. Oops, there we go. And I just love that peach tone in there. That's just, so these are all fingering weights. And I'm going to be working with these. In fact, I was just telling her earlier that this Enemies to Lovers, I already have an idea. So it's going to be one of my projects coming up. You guys all know, if you've been following my podcast, that I've got a couple things I got to get done first before I start other things. But yeah, so there you go. All right. So let's see. What inspires your colorways? I know you said rom-com tropes was one of them, but what else inspires your colorways?
I have a lot of things that are kind of nature based, like lakeshore. Things that I see in nature, the wildflowers. I had gone on a road trip with my mom, and we used to take pictures, and we called them turkey moments. We saw a thing of turkeys one time, I don't know what they're called, herd of turkeys. And so we pulled over and took pictures. And then we found this, when we pulled over, we found this huge ditch full of wildflowers. And so we would just be like turkey anytime we saw wildflowers, but we found one that had these colors, just a ditch full of flowers, these colors. So a lot of it's nature. Sometimes I see outfits on TV and I'm like, I love those colors. And so I'll pause the TV and be like, okay, sometimes take a picture of it so I can remember. Just kind of all sorts of stuff. I have an entire collection called the Denim Collection that's on my website, and that was inspired by my son and all of the things he would have in his pockets when he was little. So I have pocket full of rocks, pocket full of petals, grass stained knees. So it's navy with green, navy with purple is pocket full of petals, pocket full of rocks is navy and brown. He was drawn to these specific rocks when we would go on walks. And so some of it's just things that he does. I do have a colorway that I let him pick out the colors. He was 3, I think, maybe 4. And I was like, hey, bud, what colors do you want in your yarn? And he said, blue and green. And so it's this really pretty blue and green. And then in the middle, it kind of mixed into this beautiful teal color. And then I let him name it. Yeah, I think that one's on my website. I don't have it. I just sent it away to a test knitter, actually. So, okay. But he named it. We used to play this it was basically tag, but he would say, Mom, be a monster, which just meant chase me. Until I am tired, which he never was. But so the colorway that he picked the colors, he also picked the name Be a Monster, because that's a game we used to play all the time.
So. I never thought about doing that with my kids and naming things after things they did. My kids were, well, they're 27 and 25 now, but they were my daughter was 6 months old when I sold my first pattern, and my son was 2. So that's crazy. I should have thought of that a long time ago. Okay, yeah. So do you have a favorite base or colorway, and why?
Ooh, I love worsted. I'm a worsted girl. It works up quick, which is kind of nice. It's that instant gratification, as quick as instant you can get with crochet and knit. Those hats took me a movie, right? I could sit and do a hat in a movie. So I love worsted. I'm starting to really love DK just with the drape of it.
Me too.
That's just so I'm really starting to like DK, and although I'm starting to like sock as well. Sock and fingering weight when I need to just take a little more time, and when I want to learn a new skill or work on my patience. I pull out that weight, but I love worsted weight. That's kind of my go-to. As far as colorways, I love a lot of my blue stuff. I got looking in the early days, I got looking at the colors I was dyeing, and it was a lot of blue, and I had to realize like other people like other colors. So I had to kind of branch out. I don't have a lot of orange because that's not a color I wear very often, but I'm working on that. Like, okay, people like these other colors. So almost anything with blue, but that Lakeshore, this one, that's like one of my favorites. I use this on a blanket for my nephew, and I find myself drawn to this one a lot. And so I have to remind myself, like, you can use other colors. And I need to use
I'm
other
with
colors.
you on blues because there was a point in time that everything I was designing was in blue yarn, and I had to redo it in another color, for whether it was for a magazine or for or for a project, just in my pattern line, because a lot of people won't buy a color. There's a lot of people like a lot of colors, but if everything was blue they wouldn't buy the pattern, because a lot of people think, oh, I can only do that in blue. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've had to. I'm learning to like other colors, but that's so funny. But blue is my color. Okay. All right. Talk about your website and your shop and how you do updates. Do you do like pre-orders for colors? How do you work your website?
Yes. So I'm just getting switched over. I was on Etsy for a long time, and I still have a presence on Etsy, but now that's kind of my like already crocheted knitted items. I have some Colorado hats on there because I had a presence with that here. But a lot of my yarn is over on my website now, and so I'm kind of getting used to exactly how I want to do that. And so the newsletter I have, it's going to be once a month. I don't always read every single newsletter that comes through my inbox, so I wanted to make sure that when I sent one out, it was short and sweet and not too often. That's I also am like, what I have to say isn't that important. So like, I'll show you new colorways. So I'm about to send one out. So it will have my new colorways, which I showed. Let's see, the Lovey Dovey will be on there. And so it'll be like a new colorway that I've had throughout the month. Right now, I'm kind of just looking at going with the seasons and kind of dyeing to some of the seasons. And then, so I'll have at least one new colorway. I'm anticipating 2 or 3 new colorways a month that'll come out in my newsletter. And then right now I'm just trying to update my shop with all of my colorways. I looked at my spreadsheet and I have like 120 colorways or something. And some of them I just need to redo because they were super early ones, and I have the recipe, but I'm like, they're probably going to turn out different because I've learned a whole lot since I dyed it last. So I'll just be updating kind of as I go through my recipes and making sure that I have that. I did have a subscription box last year, and I decided not to do that this year, and that I've decided to just do like the monthly release, and then whoever wants it, they can get it whenever. And I might try Yarn Club again and the subscription box again. But right now I kind of want to just do releases, and whoever wants it can get it.
Okay. Do you do make special orders? So like if someone came to you and said, I'm going to make a DK weight sweater and I'd really like to have it dyed all at the same time, so that they're, because you know how dyeing goes, dye lots, and even within the same dye lot, things change. But do you do that as well?
Oh, absolutely. And most of my stuff, I do have some in-stock yarn right now, but going forward, a lot of my stuff is going to be dye to order. Okay. And so when you order it, it'll be dyed, unless you order 2 skeins, and I happen to have those 2 sitting in my stuff. And so, but yeah, you can absolutely email me and say, hey, I really want a sweater's quantity worth of this colorway, and we can make that work. I've had a couple people, I haven't added it to, I just reminded me, I haven't added it to my website yet. It's still sitting over on Etsy. I've had people ask for custom colorways. where they've sent me a picture and said, hey, I really would love these 2 colors. Can you help me out? And so I'll work with them and try to make that happen. I do ask that that's a full dye lot, so 4 skeins.
Okay.
And so I do that. But yeah, I've had people send me a picture, and it's been really fun to try to make that work and match the colors they've sent me. So
Awesome.
that reminds, I will go put that on my website right now after this. The only thing I ask is that you message me first so I can make sure I feel comfortable meeting what you want. So.
Okay. So I want, but stop here for a second and just remind everybody about the giveaway. So go ahead and tell everybody about the giveaway again. And then I'm going to put the banner up so that anybody who popped in knew. So the giveaway is a coupon code for $34 to my online shop. $34 will get you 2 skeins of either worsted or DK, or 1 of each. And then it will have you pay shipping because it is weird and doesn't allow me to do gift cards towards shipping, but I will refund your shipping if you're here in the US. And if you're international, I'll refund half your shipping just to kind of balance that expensive shipping out. Okay, and for those of you who just popped in within the last half hour or so, all you want to do is by itself in a comment, just type in hashtag romcom, just like you see it here. I'm going to scoop those all up and we'll do a drawing in a little bit. So make sure you're entered in. And also I want to just let everybody know, and Beach Girl, I'm sorry, I usually do this at the end of or towards the end of the video or the interview, but she does have a coupon code for us. It's good until Valentine's Day or through Valentine's Day. You can save 15% on your order if you use the code Hooli15. So make sure that you write that down. I also have it in the show notes for those who are watching after the fact. But I just want to make sure I get that up there too. So make sure you've entered into the drawing though, because this is for live people only. If you're watching after the fact, I always forget to say that at the beginning. If you're watching after the fact, the drawing has already been done. So, okay. So I've got some info in here, or some questions in here. I'm going to go ahead and open it up to everybody who has questions. I think I only have 2 actual questions that I need to ask. But if you have a question for Alyssa, type the letter Q, a space, and then your question, and I will make sure to ask it to her. So I'm going to go ahead and go into my scooped up questions. Okay, so Carrie asks, where did you say you were located?
So I'm in Parker, Colorado, which is southeast Denver.
Okay. And Deborah, hi Deborah, I didn't see you pop in. I saw the question come through. Do you use premium acrylic?
I would consider it premium, yes. Yeah. Yes.
You have a special mill that does that for you, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not like the Red Hearts guys. Honestly, no. I can tell you just from my Hanks here, that's definitely not that. Anybody else have questions? I mean, those were my 2 questions that I saw.
I do have.
I mean, if I missed something, tell me.
I do have one thing that I realized I forgot to mention. So all of my yarn is machine washable and dryable. And so you can throw it in the wash. I normally throw it in by itself, although I have thrown in like all of my scarves on cold and delicate just to treat it nice. But this was one of my earliest colorways. I wore this scarf a lot. It has been machine washed and dried a ton, and you can still see how vibrant those colors are. And then I just throw it in the dryer on low if I don't care about the blocking. So this one I've let it kind of curl, and I'm like, I should probably block it out, but it still is holding its shape pretty nicely. But that is the one nice thing about all my stuff is you can just throw it in the wash, throw it in the dryer, and not have to worry about that at all.
Cool. So Liz says her son and family live in Parker, so she's there. She visits there every often, or she visits there often.
Oh, that's awesome.
So she knows where you are. Okay. Anybody else have any questions? I know there's a couple people here. I don't know if they're here right now that work for yarn shops, but do you do wholesale? I know you mentioned
I,
you do wholesale. Do you do trunk
I
shows,
do.
that kind of thing? Is it the best?
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about how to contact you to do that, so that those shop owners or the people who work there know what to tell their shop owners.
Yeah. So you can reach out to me via email or through my website. My email address is just yarnforthemasses@gmail.com. And so you can reach out there. I have yarn in 2 shops right now. I used to have it in 4, and 2 of the shops closed due to health. 2 like very far away shops, but they both closed within 6 months of each other due to health reasons. I was like, oh man. Yeah, I'm open to that. I've done trunk shows. I've only done them absentee because they've been in other states. But if you're close or if you live somewhere cool and I'm able to come visit, I would love to actually be there for a trunk show. There's actually, trying to think of what it's called. All of a sudden my brain blanked. Lone Star Yarn near Dallas is actually going to have my yarn. They have my yarn right now, but we're going to do a trunk show in April during the North Texas Yarn Crawl. So yeah, you can reach out to me, and I do wholesale. So we can.
Cool. Another question just came in, so I'm going to pop that up on the screen.
Okay.
And Yarn Witch asks, I came in late, so sorry if this has already been answered, but how long have you been dyeing, and what drew you to dye acrylic?
Oh yeah. So my official dyeing anniversary, like when I opened my Etsy shop, is actually February 11th. And so that was 5 years ago. We'll be celebrating 5 years.
Well, awesome.
As an official, yeah, so that's kind of fun. And as a crocheter, I was just drawn, I used acrylic all the time. And so that's kind of why I started dyeing acrylic, is because I wanted to have something pretty within that price range. And I realized my yarn is more expensive than the box stores, but it's less expensive than buying worsted wool. So I kind of wanted to find that happy medium. And so yeah, part of it was just, I was used to using acrylic. I wanted a slightly better price point for hand-dyed yarn. And then as I had a kid, I wanted it to be easy, easy to take care of. The one cool thing about using acrylic too is like this hat. So I've got my yarn, but then I've just got some, I'm trying to think of, it might be like Michael's Impeccable or one of the like worsted weight solids that you can get at a box store. And you can combine these really easy. I've done prayer shawls where I've used mine for the main body of it, and then I've used just like a solid acrylic that I find in my stash for the border. And so you can mix and match, and it works well. So if you need to still be aware of your budget, you can have some fun, and then also use those solids too.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay, so anybody else have any questions before we go to the drawing? Anybody? I'm just going through here just to see if they've missed anything. Oh, Carrie didn't put a Q in front of this, but she wanted me to put out that she'll be reaching out to you. She's in Boise, and there's a crochet event in Boise, Pacific Northwest Yarny Social, which I want to go to this year. So she'll be reaching out to you about that.
Awesome. That sounds great. Yeah, I'm always looking for places to go. So I've done 3 yarn shows now. One was here in Colorado, and then I did the 2 in Texas. And so I kind of have like a drive radius. I've like figured out, like, I went to Houston, and when I came back, I was just dead for like 3 days. And so I'm like, okay. But I came back from Dallas, and I felt okay. It was still a long drive. It was a 13-hour drive to get down there. So I kind of have a radius I'm figuring out, and looking at ways to fly my yarn places too. So I am totally willing to talk about fun places to go. And the Pacific Northwest has been one place that I've really wanted to get up to. So I just have to figure out, because it's a little more than a 13-hour drive to get up there.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Well, Boise might be closer than where I am at.
Yeah.
So yeah. Because Boise's 5 hours from me. So
okay.
Yeah, 5
Yeah.
hours southeast from me. So, and then Yarn Witch says 5 years. Congrats.
Thank you.
That's exciting. It's exciting when you
Yeah.
can do those benchmarks. Like last year was my 25th anniversary as a designer. So when
Oh,
you
wow.
as you keep going, it's like, oh, but then you feel like you're getting old too. But yeah. And Deborah says, come to Alaska. Deborah is from Alaska.
That would
So
be amazing. That's on my bucket list. I only have 2 states out of 50 that I need to get to, and Alaska is one of them. So
okay, there
maybe I
you
can make it bring some yarn up and
go. There you go. Okay, let's go ahead and do the drawing. I am going to, so I'm going to give you guys another minute. I'm going to put the banner back up really quick. If you haven't already entered to win, type in hashtag romcom and in the comments, and I will scoop them up. I want to make sure that they're all. Everything that I have here is the rom-com. Okay. Anybody? Oh, we got another comment here. Okay. Okay. Right. All right. I'm going to take that off. And hang on one second. Guys, this is so different than from what I'm used to. So we have 12 entries. And so I'm going to have you pick a number between 1 and 12. And it can be 1 or 12 if you want to. And I'm going to sort these out of order. So go ahead and pick one. And then
I'm going to go with 8 since my son just turned 8.
okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to put her on screen. It's A.L. Ashmore. So, is that? I think that's Alyssa too. Are you the one that I met in Texas? I think. So, if it's you, please. This is how I do my giveaways. I don't like to put anybody's email addresses on a live stream or anything like that. So I'm going to put my banner up here. If you would like to just shoot me an email at giveaway@karenhooley.com and with your email address. And I said put a pattern here. I didn't update this to say, but enter or send me a note saying giveaway@karenhooley.com and I'll connect you with Alyssa. And I will, and then she'll give you the coupon code and you guys can work out however the order is. So congratulations. I think it's A.L. Ashmore. I'm going to just say A.L. Ashmore because I'm not 100% sure it's the person I think it is. But congratulations. And for the rest of you, I'm going to put this back up here really quick. You can still save on your order 15%. So I'm going to put that up there. It'll also be in the show notes. Any more questions for Alyssa or comments and congratulations to the winner. So anybody have a question before we go? I'm going to wait a second here. If not, I'm so glad you were able to make it with us. When I'm going to take you off screen here in a second, I forgot to mention this before. Just hang out for a second until I close out and then I've got a couple things. So
Perfect.
everybody else, if you, I'm going to go ahead and let Alyssa go. And thanks for being here. And I will talk to you in just a minute.
Perfect. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Okay, guys, this is the first live stream I've done in a while, so I apologize if it's all over the place with stuff. I'm going to have to figure out how to get the giveaways working again. But in the meantime, make sure you subscribe to Alyssa's newsletter, follow her on all the social medias. All of that will be in the show notes. And then if there's any questions you guys have for Alyssa, you can always, I'm sure she has a contact form on her website. And if you have anything for me, you guys can always contact me at karenhooley.com. I'm hoping to do these again starting in, well, this will be the first one of the year. And I'm thinking of doing them every other month because right now my schedule is kind of crazy. So my next one hopefully will be in March. So be watching for that. But thanks for being here, guys. And those of you watching after the fact, make sure to leave a comment if you have any questions. And I'll make sure they get to Alyssa if she's not checking in on the YouTube channel. So um, have a great day. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you next time. Bye, y'all.